In our last episode of this Let's Play of Mask of the Betrayer, we did what betrayers do and betrayed one of our allies. But he was an evil lich, and we're lawful good, so yeah, maybe that wasn't quite so evil of us to betray him. It was a little chaotic, perhaps, and we're nominally lawful good, but law chaos is really, at a certain extent where it's ironic, we are a lawful character, because what we're doing is ultimately chaotic. We're supporting the Betrayer's crusade to sort of overturn the natural order of the universe, which seems a little chaotic. Whether or not this is the good or evil option, it's really debatable from a standpoint of, you know, what does it mean to be good or evil in this particular sense? It's sort of, you could make valid arguments both ways. I'm choosing this as the good option just from the standpoint of, if you are not taking part in the Betrayer's Crusade, you're essentially just doing this attack to save your own skin, and selfishness is usually associated with evil. But this is really more of a law chaos type of decision, and for the most part, actually, I'm doing it just so I don't lose influence with Kalen, and that's really what matters, right? Anyway, on to the Basilica of Lost Hope, which is the second side area, well, second main area, actually, of the Fugue plane. Whenever you travel in the city, it's not that far. It says it's, you know, it doesn't even give it a number of days, but you are considered to have rested, though you don't lose spirit energy as if you'd rested. So if you're running out of spirit energy, you can just do area transitions between the various areas, just go back and forth, and fire suppress each time, and you'll be good. This is kind of one big long fight, so I'm going to buff up before continuing. Before we can do that, though, we get interrupted by Zoab, who's telling us these slaves of Kelemvor are allied with fiends from the hells, which obviously, you know, a Solar probably is not going to be happy with. And the Pit Fiend here says they have an agreement with the Lord of the Dead, which allows them to acquire souls for their eternal war with the demons. The whole Devil's Demons thing is just a random Forgotten Realms area business, though, the Blood War. And the Pit Fiend says, more or less, you're screwing around with our deal. And this is actually sort of an annoying area because you don't get time to buff up. I am just going to have to cast Mirror Images, maybe a Spell Mantle, and charge in because I don't have time. And there are a bunch of devils up there. There's also, of course, Kelemvor's defenders are up here as well. So, you know, we have some issues. But if you were on the other side, essentially if you were working for Kelemvor instead of working for the Crusade, I think these guys actually just aren't here, the Pit Fiends and such. And you're just fighting Zoab. But another sort of significant difference, if you choose to join the Defenders instead of joining the Crusade, Kalen automatically leaves your party. And you get Aramon, actually, who's not dead. Anyway, if you come here first, the voice of Kelemvor, one of Kelemvor's champions, is still here, and you can essentially get more allies for the final fight by, well, final fight, for one of the last major fights, by coming here first and dealing with that. There is a little bit of treasure here, but I thought there was one more item. Oh no, that's in the farther area. The only thing that's here are these Cat Queen's Claws, which are interesting. They give penalties to saves, they cast Mass Charm, they give some bonuses if you're going to use them as a monk. They also give +6 dexterity. I'm not going to use them right now because I still need my armor, my bracers of armor for my armor, but I'm going to be replacing those if I get one more level and can use the epic automatic still spell. So, not a whole lot here in the Basilica. There was one other option when we started this, which was to help Seiryu at the front gates. So let's head back there, because that's really the only thing we have to do. Seiryu is apparently in the middle of a fight, and doesn't want to get her scales damaged. A little vain, actually. And I'm gonna recast that so to make sure that I hit all the guys in front. There's some divine champions here on this Cleric of Kelemvor. Again, it throws you right into the fight, so you do have to get involved. Unfortunately, they are really beating on Seiryu here, even though I blinded them. So I am going to heal Seiryu. You can also, you can see 150 hit points is like a fifth of Seiryu's hit points. So, not a chump. Dang it. Cleric's casting heal. Imagine that. This is probably overkill, but... And there's one divine champion left over there. And, Seiryu more or less says, I've done the job that you asked me to do. And a messenger comes from Kelemvor, from the Scrivener. And he wants to meet at the Temple of Kelemvor at Eternity's End. Okay. As I mentioned, we have to go back to Eternity's End. Back at Eternity's End, I half expected to have a fight right at the beginning, because that's what the last two areas have been like. But, we're headed to this Temple of Kelemvor in the northeast corner. There's no new enemies are here, and it's just a straight shot walk, more or less. And here's our temple. If Kaelin were not in your party and you had sided with the defenders, she would attack you at this point. Inside the temple, we find the Scrivener. Oh, hey, does that mean more wacky word puzzles involving fins and knees and cups of tea? No, it's just a guy. That's too bad, really. But he more or less says that he's impressed with the way your crusade is gone, and, you know, he's more or less making an offer. We'll hear him out. And we can ask him why we should trust him, and he says, you know, more or less he's speaking for Kelemvor himself. And, okay, you know, he says more or less they'll stay out of the way as you reclaim your soul from the wall. And he lets you look over here at the Codex of the Doomed. Hey, you know. This sarcophagus here has a couple items. The sword is boring. I think it's just a vanilla +5 longsword, actually. The armor here, yeah, is something I may actually use. Again, assuming I get the last bit of XP necessary. It's a steadfast chain, gives more saving throws, it gives more regeneration, which is nice. It is 1 less AC than the Mithril Breastplate if you have enough of a dex bonus, but even if I switch over to the Cat Queen's Claws, I'm only going to be at a +3 dex bonus, and this allows up to a 4. The breastplate allows up to a 5. So it's just better armor for me. If I'll lose a point of AC for not using my bracers, if I switch to the Cat Queen's Claws versus Steadfast Chains, I can kind of bounce things around a little bit. Looking back, I probably should have bought those Imaskari Bracers of Immortality back at the City of the Hags, but now that my boots have +8 Constitution, I don't know how much help they'd be either. So, let's take a look at the Codex. And it has a list of everybody who's in the Wall of the Faithless. And it gives 2,500 XP. I still need another 2,000 plus. We'll talk to this. He doesn't have anything further to say. Well, I guess we know where we're going. Before we end this video, let's have some conversations. We haven't really had any interaction whatsoever with Oku in a while. As I mentioned, he's mostly sort of an early game interaction, but...
So the gods of men unleashed this hunger upon Rashomon to punish one man? The two-legged gods have a twisted sense of justice, or perhaps it's humor. I hope that when this curse is put to rest, whatever remains of Akachi can find peace.
Okay, so he's got Sophia in one of his eyes and my sword in the other. Good place to put your face, Oku. And you can sort of mention that Akachi is the cause of Oku's suffering.
Rabid beasts must be slain for the safety of others, but that does not mean they are worthy of hate or spite.
Anyway, we can say that Akachi's punishment outweighed his crime.
I am inclined to agree with you, little one. The punishment harms not just the criminal, but all the lands of Rashomon. It is no longer just. I grow restless. Let us continue. We are close to the end of our hunt.
Okay.